The first thing Emily heard when she stepped into Ridgeway High was laughter. But not the good kind. It was the sharp, mocking laughter that made you want to shrink into yourself. She had just moved to town, a fresh start her mother promised would be better. But Emily knew the rules of high school: if you're new, you're prey. She kept her head down, clutching her old leather backpack like it was the last piece of home she had. That backpack had been with her through every boxing match, every training session, and even in the corner of the ring the day she won her last championship. No one here knew that side of her, and she wanted to keep it that way. By lunch, the whispers had started. A group of kids at the corner table, the ones everyone seemed to avoid, were watching her with smirks. Their leader, a tall boy with messy hair named Ryan, looked her up and down like she was an easy target. Emily kept walking, ignoring them, but she could feel their eyes follow her. She found an empty table, opened her sandwich, and tried to pretend she didn't care. She barely noticed Ryan until he was standing beside her. "Nice bag," he said, his tone dripping with mockery. Before she could react, he snatched it from the table. Emily stood up, her heart pounding. Not from fear, but from the familiar adrenaline that came before a fight. She told herself to breathe. She wasn't here to cause trouble. Ryan dangled the backpack by one strap, grinning. "What's in here? Rocks, or just your entire life?" His friends laughed. Then, with a dramatic toss, he flung it across the cafeteria toward the trash can. The backpack landed with a dull thud, half hanging over the edge. Something inside made a faint clink, the sound of her championship medal against her water bottle. Emily walked over slowly, aware of the eyes on her. She pulled the backpack from the trash, brushing it off. Ryan's smirk widened. "What's wrong? Trash for trash." His friends chuckled. Emily's first instinct was to unleash every ounce of skill she had. She could have knocked him out cold in seconds. But instead, she zipped the bag, turned, and walked away. She heard the murmurs. "She's scared. She's weak." They had no idea who they were messing with. For the next week, the harassment didn't stop. Ryan and his group shoved her in the hallway, accidentally, knocked her books out of her hands, and made snide comments every time she passed. She kept her composure, focusing on school and secretly training at a small boxing gym on the edge of town. The gym's owner, Coach Davis, was the only one who knew her real story. "You can't keep letting them push you around," Coach said one evening as she worked the heavy bag. "You're not weak, Emily. You're choosing to stay quiet. But sometimes, silence teaches them the wrong lesson." I don't want to be that person anymore," she admitted. "The one who's always fighting." "There's a difference between fighting for anger and standing up for yourself," he said firmly. "One teaches fear. The other teaches respect." The turning point came the following Friday. The school was hosting a charity sports event, and Ryan had signed up for the boxing exhibition. It was meant to be light-hearted, students trying out sparring with headgear and oversized gloves. When Emily's name was announced as his opponent, the entire gymnasium erupted in laughter. Ryan looked at her like Christmas had come early. "Try not to cry," he said, stepping into the ring. Emily said nothing. She adjusted her gloves and focused. The whistle blew. Ryan came forward, sloppy and overconfident, swinging wildly. She dodged effortlessly, her footwork light and precise. The crowd's laughter faded into murmurs as they realized she wasn't just avoiding him, she was studying him. Then, with a quick pivot, she delivered a clean jab to his chest, followed by a swift combination that sent him stumbling back. The room went silent. Ryan's face turned red, from embarrassment more than pain. He charged again, but Emily moved like water, landing a perfect left hook that knocked him to the mat. The referee rushed in, ending the match. The crowd erupted, not in mockery this time, but in awe. Phones were out, recording. Ryan sat up, dazed, staring at her like he had just met a different person. Emily removed her gloves and helped him up. "Next time," she said quietly, "respect people before you know their story." The word spread quickly. By Monday, everyone knew who she was, not just the girl who knocked out Ryan, but the undefeated junior boxing champion from her last city. The bullies kept their distance after that. Some even apologized. Emily didn't gloat. She didn't need to. The fight hadn't been about winning. It had been about showing that quiet didn't mean weak. She had taught them something Coach Davis had always told her. Strength isn't loud, but when it speaks, people listen. And from that day on, she walked the halls of Ridgeway High with her head high. Not because they feared her, but because they finally respected her. The weekend after the fight, Emily stayed mostly indoors. She wasn't avoiding school, she was just processing what had happened. It wasn't the victory in the ring that stayed with her, it was the faces in the crowd. Some students had been shocked, others embarrassed for ever mocking her, and a few had even looked inspired. Her phone buzzed constantly with messages from classmates she barely knew. Most were congratulatory, but some felt fake. The kind of sudden friendliness that came when people realized you had something they wanted to be around. She didn't answer most of them. On Sunday evening she sat in the living room with her mom, who was folding laundry. "I heard about the fight," her mom said gently. Emily tensed. It wasn't like that. It was for charity. And he was. Her mom put the laundry down and smiled softly. "Emily, I'm not angry, I'm proud of you. But I want to make sure you understand strength is more than throwing punches. It's about knowing when to use them." Emily nodded. Coach said the same thing. When Monday arrived, things felt different. The same students who had laughed at her on her first day now parted in the hallway to let her pass. But she also noticed something else. People were watching her with a mixture of curiosity and respect. At lunch, she saw a freshman girl sitting alone in the corner, hunched over her tray the way Emily had just a week earlier. Two boys from Ryan's group approached, smirking, but before they could say anything, Emily was already walking toward them. "Hey," she said firmly. "She's with me." The boys exchanged looks and backed away without a word. The freshman's eyes lit up with gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. Emily smiled. "Don't thank me. Just remember, you're stronger than you think." Even Ryan seemed different. Later that week, he approached her by her locker. She braced herself for some sarcastic remark, but instead, he cleared his throat awkwardly. "Look, I was wrong," he muttered. "I didn't know who you were. Didn't know what you'd been through. I guess I thought making fun of someone made me look stronger." Emily tilted her head. "It doesn't. It just makes you look scared." He nodded slowly, as if the truth of her words hit deeper than he expected. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Emily started becoming a quiet protector in the school. She didn't start fights, but she ended plenty of attempts at bullying with nothing more than a look. Her reputation wasn't just about boxing now. It was about the way she carried herself. Then came the school assembly. The principal had heard about the fight and invited Emily to speak to the entire student body about sportsmanship and respect. Standing on that stage, with hundreds of eyes watching, Emily felt the same adrenaline she felt in the ring. But this time, her gloves were off, and her words would be her punches. "I didn't move here to fight," she began. "I moved here to start fresh. But what I learned is that no matter where you go, there will be people who test you, to see if you'll break. I'm here to tell you, you don't have to break. And you don't have to become like them, either." The gym was silent. Even Ryan was in the back, listening. "Strength," she continued, "isn't about hurting people. It's about protecting those who can't protect themselves. It's about knowing your worth, even when others don't see it yet." When she stepped down from the stage, applause filled the gym. Not the forced, polite kind, but the real kind. And for the first time since she'd arrived in Ridgeway, Emily felt like she belonged. That night, as she hung her boxing gloves on the wall above her bed, she realized something. She wasn't just a fighter in the ring anymore. She was a fighter for the kind of person she wanted to be. And that was a title worth more than any championship.